3, and we are going to begin doing some awesome stuff today. All right, so I think last time on day 2, we went over deploying some of our apps here. And now what we're going to do is, I've been giving it some thought over the last few days, and I'm like, all right, what's next? If we can deploy SaaS products easily, we got Stripe wired up. So any of those sort of SaaS ideas that pop into my head, I can just quickly build, whip up, get out the door. So that's pretty cool. I think what we should do now is get a solid plan in for, uh, you know, deploying macOS apps or like apps that we can sell one-off type products for. So I did a little bit of research, and it turns out that what I really need to do in order to make this happen is, one, I need to build a licensing server. So that's basically going to allow us to have people download our app and then pay for it, and they'll basically get like a certificate, a license that they can then go and put into the application. And once it's in the application, they should be able to, have a registered product that gives them some set of features, or maybe just all the features. I don't really know yet how we're going to handle that. So let's get to moving here and figure out exactly how we want to handle this. Um, so if I'm looking over, I asked the old trusty Chat GPT, and I decided that what we really need to do is get, one, the licensing server up. So that's like a web page basically that's going to allow us to have people come. Maybe I can put up different products, or I can open this up to anyone where they can put up different products. And then I'm thinking like we will, after they pay for it, maybe email them the actual license that they need to download with their app. Um, and then on the other side of, maintaining apps. And by the way, like before I get into this part 2, all of this has like been done before. I'm not like doing some new thing that you can't possibly just go out for today and pay for a SaaS product for. Like I think there's already a bunch of different products that allow us to have the ability to sell one-off software. There's probably something that Stripe owns. Maybe it's like Lemon Squeezy. There's like Paddle. There's a whole bunch of different SaaS products out there where you can sell your one-off Mac OS app, and this whole flow works. But as you saw in day 1 and day 2, I think what I want to do is own my whole stack. So it's not that I have not built here syndrome or anything like that. It's that if I know my whole foundation is solid and rock solid, I don't have to worry about it like changing under my feet. And honestly, these things are not that complicated. One of the things that really just grinds my gears is when people go out and pay for an expensive OAuth solution. Like, doing authentication is one of the easiest things that you can do. You just have to store some hashed bcrypt passwords in your database. I mean, don't store the raw text. You're storing a bcrypted password. You can even issue a JOT token if you want that expires and all of that. But it's not that hard to do. And so, I don't know, maybe like the theme of some of this stuff should be like, let's prove that these products that people are paying a lot for are not that hard to do. Now, if it's not your core competency and you're a startup and you just need to get something out the door and working quickly so that you could show that you have product market fit, then absolutely you should go pay for those products. But if you're just someone sitting here on the weekend writing code, then I highly suggest you try and code some of this stuff up, especially with AI now. Like, we can vibe code stuff and it should just really, really work. I mean, authentication and security type things, I don't know if I would vibe code those, but you can vibe code it and then you can review it. And once you review it, you can see if what the AI produced is actually going to work for you. Okay, so we went over point one, which was do the license server, right? And I think that's probably where we're going to start today. Uh, but point two is going to be, the stuff that comes after. So you build your app and someone downloads it, and then you make an update to your app. How do you distribute that update for your macOS app? Okay, so I asked ChatGPT this question, right? Turns out there's this thing called Sparkle. And Sparkle, I'm going to pull up over here so that we can see it. Is I mean the documentation for this thing looks pretty good. It's written out depending on what sort of way that you're packaging up your app. It even gets into how updating works. So, if a user has this app running and now you want to push out an update, how does that work? Well, it turns out that you're doing a bunch of things like you're signing your app, right, properly with like Apple's signing or code signing things. Um, but like one of the core things that I'm really interested in is distributing your app, right? It's like, why build something if you can't ship it? So once we've distributed the app and I want to push out a new update, there's these things called Appcast. And Appcast is basically this XML that gets generated, and all it's going to do is show what the newest version is. And so, like, when our app starts up, maybe what we'll have it do is just check this feed, which I think that maybe this Sparkle thing, you can set like the cadence for when it goes and hits your server to see if there's a new updated app. Um, and then it will download the new app and install it. And you can actually even do like the drive installer that's like the drag and drop thing. Um, that notarized signed disk image. And so I think what we should do is one, get our license server up, and I'm going to build it in a way that all these, so if I make like lots of different apps, all I have to do is like put a new product in, it'll get a nice landing page. Users will be able to check out through Stripe, like it'll, go to my Stripe Connect account. Yeah, I think maybe we'll just do Stripe Connect. And then that way, if any of you ever want to distribute a macOS app, you can use this site to do that. And then I'll probably wire up something so that it generates this appcast XML document. And that way, if any of you want to use this or I have a new version of my app that I want to deploy, maybe what I'll do is I'll create like a webhook or something that the GitHub releases can hit and say like there's a new release, and then that'll push it to this. And now anytime an app hits this URL, it will tell us that like there's an update available and they can go download it. um I don't know if we want to lock this down to like requiring a license key or not, but I think that's what we're going to try and do probably, so that you have to have a valid license to download the app in the first place. Um, Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how I want to do that yet. Because that could be really tricky, right? For like the new user that buys the app, then where do they download it from? But I think you could probably guard it based on, oh, maybe you don't get new updates. Let's say like your license only works for version 1, you shouldn't be able to download the version 2 license. Or maybe we just make it so that our licenses, when we create them, can have some sort of things like entitlements in them saying, it's only good for these versions or for this amount of time or something like that. I don't know. I don't want to make it too complicated out of the gate. So I think the best thing to do is dive in and we'll go from there. Right. So let's get started. So when I started this whole thing before, one of the things that I did was, we went through on day 2 how I was able to quickly, clone my app engine. So if you see now, we have a new license app and we have a new license app engine. And, this was basically just me prompting the AI to copy this thing and use this one into like here and like rename all the things inside of it from invoice app to license app and then like come up with a good data model. I haven't actually looked at any of this. So this is the first time I'm seeing what ChatGPT produced yesterday. So this was GPT 5.5, and we're going to just kind of run through it, I think. And I think it's a good idea to just start with the data model. So, I think in this app, one of the things that we really want to have is the ability for people to add a new product. So if we look at our agenda here, we've got this, get the license app launched. We're going to create a base macOS project. We'll put in Sparkle for it and our license key library, which I'll go over here in a minute. But let's go with our data model. All right, so if we're building this out, one of the things that we want to have is the ability for organizations. And you remember in episode 2, day 2, I guess, we had this ability for users to sign up and be part of an organization and add other members to their organization and whatnot. And that's all done properly with permissioning and so on and so forth. But I think we want our organizations to be able to have many products. So let's say I create a new widget app, and that widget app I'm going to sell as a macOS app. It's basically just a product, or probably even better, a licensed product. And then I would say, like, if we have a license product, maybe that thing has many machines that it's registered to. Or, oh, no, it would have like purchasers, right? So people that have purchased the license. And then maybe what we would do is have, yeah, I'm sorry, but my NeoVim just spawns things like crazy. So ever since AI came out, I just stopped keeping up with the NeoVim situation because things just break constantly and you have to like go back and fix them, all your plugins and stuff. So you're just gonna see those distracting messages. I've just learned to ignore a lot of them. Um, so I guess if we have like a licensed product that people have purchased the license, we might even want to be able to make it so that if you have a license, you should be able to even register it on multiple machines, right? Because like, let's say I purchase a macOS app and I have two computers, like I have two laptops or something, and I shouldn't have to buy two copies of that product. You know, I think what a good license situation would be, and I've seen this a lot with a lot of products that I've purchased, is like they'll let you register it to three unique machines. And I don't know how we're going to do that yet. If we need to like get the serial number of the machine, I'm betting that Apple probably exposes some sort of machine ID that's maybe less the serial number of the Apple machine. I don't really know. We're gonna have to ask the AI, and we'll dig into that in a bit. Okay. So let's look at what we have so far, what the AI came up with now that we've gone through and like done our mental model of what it should be. So it looks like what they did is they created a license product, a license portal access code, okay, and a license customer. Well, I guess we'll have to dig into these. And I have no idea what permissions is either, but I think we should look and we'll go from there. So let's say we start with a licensed product because I'm betting that's where we're going to go and create our product. So let's see what it did. Okay, so this product belongs to an organization, and aka an organization can have many of these. And you'll see in our foundation here, I talked about this last time. Because we made all of those things concerns, it's really easy now to just mix in the organization concern into a model or into a class that like we reopen here. And then we can enhance it with these extra things. So we can, do this sort of, has many licensed products thing. One thing that I always like to do with the AI is tell it to write a spec first, because I can go back and read the spec, but more importantly, as we continue to iterate on this and we develop it, the LLM, the AI that's writing this code, is going to do these like general searches about what it's trying to implement. And if I have this ability here to, write down what like I wanted for the invariance of the product into these specs, the AI is less likely to go clobber our code base and go way off, and do something it shouldn't do, especially if you're using like a frontier model. Some of the older models will still just go off the rails and do what they want to do, the smaller ones. But if you're using a model in the like 1 trillion parameter range, it's going to be pretty good about following these sort of things and doing a little exploration, especially if you tell it to look at the specs and make sure that you're implementing stuff according to spec files that you have. So we might go look at that in a minute. And then this is like a standard thing that I have every app do, is they declare what the different roles are for an organization out of the gate. One of the things I also did with Stripe is I have this idea of like a catalog. So not just like willy-nilly going into Stripe and entering in my products, and manipulating Stripe through the Stripe dashboard. I like to do this programmatically so that if I make a change in this code, then I'm going to have that tracked in Get. And when I deploy this code, what it's going to do is it's going to sync all of the products and the prices that I've declared in the code into my Stripe account. And this has some nice benefits too, that I can easily create like a Stripe sandbox or something and know that the state's going to be consistent across the apps. All right, so let's get back to this. We have many customers. Okay, so let's say some organizations, let's say me, I go in, I create an organization. Great. Now I want to put a new product in. I want to sell my widget macOS app, which is probably a bad idea because macOS actually has widgets now. So let's think about like what we should call this. I'm gonna use the code name for a project I've been working on. We'll call it Katniss. So we have a Katniss macOS app, and that's our new product. And if you go to the page, it should say like, here's the Katniss app, here's the price. Maybe we put the like icon or the logo for the app, and you know, like a buy now button or something. But we know that our product can have many customers. So each time someone purchases this product, we want to record who that customer is. And we'll probably do that by not having the user enter their details twice. Maybe what we'll do is we'll like have them go through a Stripe checkout flow. They'll put in their email or whatever, and Stripe will then send a webhook back to our server, and on our server, we'll register the customer from there. And a product has many licenses. Interesting. I wonder why they did that. We'll find out. Okay. Yeah, okay, so that makes sense. Like you can have an app icon for your app. You know, maybe you upload the app icon. There's a slug. This is nice if you want to have like a URL where instead of like your product ID that you get assigned as a primary key in your database, it's maybe an auto-incrementing ID. You could have a slug here. I don't really like to use slug, so we might get rid of this. I'm not sure yet. I think slugs are nice for, and maybe they help with like SEO things. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Product name, yeah. Marketing headline, URL. Currency. I don't know. We need to save that for Stripe. I think the AI maybe went a little overboard on this one, but I don't know. If I had to guess, what it did was it probably created a manual checkout, and it requires them to enter in the currency for the price. I bet you that's what happened. Monthly amount. Or we shouldn't be charging monthly for these. Maybe it took that in consideration that we wanted monthly licenses. In which case it should really just be signing them up for a subscription, I would think. But a monthly macOS app, I don't like that idea. Yeah, so this one's something you gotta always watch out for. SVGs can actually have like arbitrary code in them. And so if you're going to upload an SVG anytime, you need to make sure that you're really, really sanitizing the hell out of it. So I'm just going to make a few notes here. I think what we should do is probably... Nice thing is, in the foundation engine, I've already implemented sanitization, so we'll just put a to-do there. I think we should see if... Do we really need a slug? Also... I don't know. I think that maybe they did this because... oh, I bet you when you enter the product and you pick the currency and the price you want to charge for it. That's what a lot of this stuff is for. Okay. All right, so far so good. We have a licensed product. We probably have customer. Let's just open all these and see what's going on. So in our product, we know that we have these licensed customers. So probably someone who bought it, but I'm not sure what licenses are. So maybe we should go look at that and figure out what is going on with the license stuff here. Last license. Now, there's something I'm not sure if I did or not. It's good to namespace things in modules, especially in Ruby, when you might get collisions. So I'm just going to go look to see if I did that with this. I did not. So our root level app stuff is not going to be namespace, meaning it's not like an isolated engine by default. Okay. All right, so we can have different statuses for our licenses. Maybe have a licensed product that it belongs to, which we just went over. Okay, this is kind of weird. But, so what they did was they said, just close that down for a second. I don't know what else I did this, so what did I set that to? Huh. That's not what we wanted. What do I want to do here? So we have licenses. So if we have a product has many licenses, meaning a customer purchased a license. Licensed customer. Oh, okay. So like a customer themselves can purchase many different licenses. And a product maintains like all the licenses that have ever been assigned to that product, I guess. I don't know if I would have done it that way. It's too many like foreign key things going on. I think I probably would have like product has many customers, customers have licenses, and then you just like aggregate them. But I guess this works fine. Okay, so let's say I come along and I'm a customer and I purchase this product. I get a license. Okay, so we have to store the email for the customer, which is probably good because I can imagine at some point customers are going to go, oh, I lost my license key. And they're going to have to like go to the website, put their email in, and we're going to have to like re-email them the license key or something. Okay, so basically a customer, each product can only, you can only purchase a product once as a customer. Otherwise, you would end up just probably purchasing more licenses. So that's good. So you would increase like the unit number of the licenses that you bought for that product, but your email for the purchaser is unique. Okay. And then our licenses, we have license activations. Oh, okay. So where I said, this license probably belongs to a specific machine, I'm betting this license activations is what we're going to use to store those unique machine IDs. All right, so I think it did a pretty good job. License has a tier and oh yeah, a quantity. Okay, so like you can purchase more than one license. There's a max number of machines that license should be able to be registered to. The license should have to be validated every so many days, which can be good or bad because sometimes when you sell a licensed product, it gets installed on an air-gapped machine and it doesn't have access to the internet. And when you do that, it can cause issues for like insecure networks where they maybe don't have access to the internet, or they can't just reach out to whatever servers they want. If you require that the license be validated after so many days again, to make sure it's still valid or like it hasn't been leaked and thousands of people started registering it or something. For whatever reason, you might want to do that. That can be probably an issue on those machines, so we should be able to disable that. Doesn't really look like they added in the ability to do that. But maybe we could just do some like insanely large number. It's like 1,000,000 years. Oh, offline grace period. Well, that's cool. So if you're offline and you haven't actually like validated in so many days, a license will still keep working if it hasn't been validated, and then you have to come online a certain amount of time. Maybe we just like display a little message to the user or something says, connect your machine to the internet to validate this license or something. Or maybe we even give them the ability to like download the validation offline. That could be kind of cool. So like just download the validation thing, they put it on a drive, install it on the machine again, and now they're validated again. Maybe if you did that like once a year or something. Okay. So we went over product, we went over a customer, and we went over our license. So what's next? I think we want to do license activations was in here. So if we kind of like chase down the associations, like we started at the top with our organization, we knew that there was many customers. Customer then can have many licenses they've purchased. Each license can have some number of activations. Okay. So let's just go through this. License. So they're calling it machine serial number or serial number digest also. Okay. GPT might have just decided to call it these things. So basically, when I started this project, I just dictated what I want with my voice and I just spoke for a while. I just talked, right? And I was like, put all this into a spec. Here's what I think we should have. And the same way that I did this when I started this stream with you guys, I basically just said what I wanted. And so it might not have actually looked at what the thing was that we actually had to store. So it might not be a machine serial number. There might be some Apple assigned, like more anonymous type of ID or something. I'm not sure. We'll figure that out as we go. A machine fingerprint. Huh. Okay. Let's see. That did not take us to the right place. I mean, even if it's not a serial number, we could just represent it that way. It's going to store the data just fine. It looks like it's creating a hash of it. Okay. Cool. And then license portal access code. This is interesting. I have no idea what this is. So license portal access code belongs to a license product. Oh, okay. So I think this is the feature I was talking about where it's likely a user is going to want to log in when they've purchased a license. So I can imagine, this is scoped to a specific product. So if you wanted to, you're going to like go to your product's URL page for the product that you purchased, and you're going to put your email in, and you're going to say like, okay, I need my license for this thing. Can you remind me what it is? And then this will email you a code, like a one-time use code, and then that expires in 15 minutes, which is pretty fast. But it'll log you in. And then at that point, you should be able to get your license and install it, I guess. So there's like an issue and consume that it created. So it's for that email. Available where? Let's start with issue, license product. these kind of things where you log in, you really want to like double check to make sure they're secure. So it looks like it generates a code, or you can pass one in and creates a digest of the code, so it hashes it. And it expires the code. And there's even a raw code method so that you can get the code back out of this object that's created and returned as part of the issue. And then we also have email. So you would basically go to your product URL. So we extract the product ID, look up the product. We would also look up we'd take your email and we'd take the code that you passed in, or maybe like clicked on the link or whatever. We would make sure that the product's available. Grab your email and only grab the record that matches the code that you provided for your email, and then you consume it. Seems pretty straightforward. All right. Now, permissions. Okay. Yeah, that looks right. And then what I do is I basically store these permissions. So you have like this resource that's actually namespaced to the engine, and then the specific permission. And then you register the possible values for that. So what this is saying is a licensed product should be able to read, update, or delete. You should also be able to like list or create licensed products. And that doesn't grant that permission. Basically, it's just defining the permission dynamically at runtime. And then what will happen is the user records will, on their membership to the organization, have a you can think of it like a join table, and that membership record will actually maintain the permissions that it has. Trying to remember what it's called in a graph database, but it's escaping me at the moment. It'll come to me in a minute. But it's basically storing data on the edge. Okay. Seems simple enough. We got a nice product. Okay. We should take a look at the controllers just to verify them. And then we'll go from there. So licensed products. This is using Flex. So I really don't like ERB in Rails because it will slow. It's slow. And then on top of that, we're actually using React and inertia. So authorize organization. Why is it ordering my name? Scope options. Where the organization is this organization. That's going to list the products that that organization can maintain. It's kind of a roundabout way of doing this. I might go back and fix this later. But I guess it works. Really, it should be like in the policy itself. So now if someone goes to a licensed product, we authorize that product. Okay. There's a presenter created. Create. Update. Right. Do we want to make it so that you could destroy a product you've created? I feel like that could be troublesome if you've already got licenses that you've sold. Really, you shouldn't do that. Now, I think what I want to do is have all this stored into Stripe, so we shouldn't have to worry too much. If you ever need to recreate the database, we should be able to do that from our Stripe database of what licenses we've sold, but yeah. Oh, AI already thought of this. Wow, that's amazing. All right. This is basically a soft delete. Just deactivates that product, probably, so it can't be purchased anymore or something. Yep. Cool. So that's, someone can go in, they can create a new product. Oh, a landing page. Hey, look at, okay, so we have a landing page. This is in Flex. Hmm. Ooh. Wow, excuse me. Need like a sneeze button. Gonna have to figure that one out. All right, so we have a landing page. That's where you buy your, probably either you buy the product or. All right, let's not even get into that yet. So, sorry. Mountain nature, man. License activations controller. Which one should we go over next? So we got a product, and then someone can purchase it. All right, let's do it. Anyone should be able to go to the page to buy a product. They should be able to check out. Yep. Okay, so that's just a receipt. The webhooks are authenticated. So we need to do that right there. Well, I mean, we could, but we don't really need to, I suppose. Okay. Next. So, product purchase activation. Okay, so I think it's important that a user be able to unauthorize or deauthorize a machine that they've authorized the license for so that they can go and authorize another machine. This is like one of those reasons why you'd want the application to have to check in and like renew its license or um, just like do the check-in process, which if the license expires after so many days and then you have to like revalidate it the same way you might with like an OAuth token where you have like a refresh key or something, um, then this allows us to like deactivate a given license. So you can imagine someone comes and they say, oh, I have 3 machines, now I have a 4th, and I want to put one of my licenses on the 4th, but I don't have the first machine anymore because the first machine was really old and I got rid of it, but I still want 3 machines activated. So I need to go into the dashboard and I need to be able to deactivate a license. Or maybe this is like baked into an API and the app itself has this sort of thing integrated so the user themselves doesn't have to go in and do it. Like if I can prove that I own a license, then maybe I don't even need to really log in through my email or the code or whatever. I can just pass like the license proof. And I'll bet you that's what some of this API is doing over here. Yep. What did I say? So dictating to the AI is so cool because I was literally just spitballing this off the top of my head of what we should do, like I'm doing to you right now, and it added this in. So air gap saw like desktops basically that don't have internet access can go and get like a signed file where it like reactivates their license for them that way. Cool. Okay, so again, the app itself can actually like do this. So I think it's important that we double check that this sort of session thing here is actually being encrypted. So that someone couldn't just come along and set their own session. I think that in Rails, this data in this session gets not maybe not encrypted, but signed. But what I'm going to do, because I think it's really important, is I want to make sure there's tests that verify that this is always signed. So that's all I gotta do. So I'm gonna put this in here, and then later I'll just have the AI come through all these to-do comments and make sure that, you know, they had the test for that kind of stuff. So one of the things that I did in Foundation is I created these gateways, and what that allows me to do is have different payment gateways that I can easily plug in. So you'll see that we have, for example, the ability to set a payment provider. Um, and in here, what it's doing is it's setting the payment provider to be Stripe. But I could set this to like a Braintree implementation, or I could set this to, I don't know, any paddle or like any other number of providers that will accept payments. The other thing that I did was I created like a managed provider so that if I want to go in and just create records for myself, but I don't want to charge myself every month, I can basically go and say use the managed provider, and it doesn't have to go through Stripe, but it still does like all the same type of things. This sort of composition of payment providers and gateways is just a really nice way to provide access to different uh, payment providers without having to go and like re-implement a bunch of code. Now, I generally would ensure that this would be implemented in a way that this is dynamic, um, based on like the organization. So if I wanted the organization to make sure that all of its payments went through like a managed provider, let's say I have like a special enterprise customer and they're, you know, it's like a high touch customer where I need to ensure that, you know, everything's running really smoothly with them and I don't ever want to accidentally like cancel their plan. I'm sure you've all heard of like the case where some big hosting provider canceled some, you know, billion-dollar companies account because their credit card expired or something. And it just looks really bad. So in that case, you kind of want to make sure that you're doing all that stuff manually. You know, you're not turning off some account that's generating you millions of dollars of revenue or whatever. But in here, since this specifically is Stripe Connect, I think it's okay that it hard coded the Stripe payment provider for this. Okay. I think that looks pretty good to me. So I think what we should do here is we will just do a bin reset on everything in here. So while that goes, that's going to basically bootstrap our whole mono repo for us. So I just don't have to have like the cognitive overhead of dealing with that. And then, so we went through our controllers, went through our models. I'll just go through the policies later. That's probably fine. Center services. Interesting. Oh, wow. Okay. So it looks like GPT went to the extreme and made everything a service, which is fine. I think you could do it one or two ways. You can have service. You could also have like fat models. This is just generating a random license key. So I'll probably have to look into this more. We definitely want to be able to rotate these and stuff. So this is like the service that does the fulfillment. So after someone purchases, I guess it creates a license key, finds the customer, creates a new license for the customer on the product. I would bet you there's a hook or something that emails this out. Yeah, so the certificate has all this information in it. Ripped it up. Press 256. Just verify all these things. Make sure they're right. Which I'll go do later. Verify it. Okay. We're good there. Okay. All right. So now if we go to our app here, what did we name this? License app. Should just spin up. Doesn't want to. Oh, it's because there's something already running on this. It's weird. All right, let me find out what's running. You know what? Well, let's just do this. is command, but this can also do it just as easily. That's not what I want. Let's do this. And you could do this with like any uh, model, but I like to use Minimax for like ops stuff just because it's so fast. And I've already got a year subscription to it, so I may as well. Let me try one thing real quick. Oh no. I'm trying to run this app. Let's see, that's not what I want to do there. Cool. So that should just work now. All right, so we've got this running here. What we'll do is we'll grab this. Maybe. I know what the problem is. Bear with me here just a second. Let's do this. That's not good. Just run that here. Well, that's doing that. What I need to do. This is actually a different machine. I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm interested to find out. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I'm actually running this on a different machine remotely, and then I'm going to have to go to the URL. So over my tailnet, so basically Rails will block the host if you don't have it in the allowed hosts. So I had to add this host in there. Hopefully Minimax can do this. If not, we'll have to use a different model. This is also weird. Should be running the test. What's going on with this? That's not useful at all. Okay. So that's kind of crazy. It looks like it's just got to build all the CSS for the first time, and there's a ton of it or something, and this machine must be getting absolutely hammered. So yeah, we might just let this run and come back to it here in a minute. But no. I bet you anything that we didn't have Vite installed. while that's going, maybe we should figure out what's next. All right. So if we ask ChatGPT what to do about this whole Sparkle thing, um, it basically came back and told me that what we should do is get this appcast set up. So I think we'll need to add that to our app. Should probably also make a demo app to actually like try this out with and build it. Yeah. Let's do that while we're waiting. What I'll do here. I really just realized that I don't think you guys can actually see this. Wow, I've been doing this whole time. If I do that, then it's going to be way too small, unfortunately. So we're just not going to do that. It's going to leave the way it is. All right, we need to build a shell or like a base macOS app to go with our license app library. And we want it to be able to do the things. I mean, it should be like a really simple macOS app that we can add a license to it. But on top of that, we're also going to need to add Sparkle to it so that we can work on the appcast stuff. For getting updates for the app. We should probably put this app inside of or next to the existing library that we created for the license app. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just paste in this page to it. So we'll do this. Sparkle. Patient. We'll let it rip. This is the beauty of vibe coding. It's like I give it some instructions. I take all this like contextual stuff and then I put it into my prompt and I let it go and we'll see what happens. The other cool thing is I do have goals for this, so I'm going to just interrupt this here and go. I want you to set a goal for this, and I want you to make sure the goal includes validating that the implemented app is working by running tests for it, writing tests for it, and maybe even running it manually and checking it out with our computer use CLI or computer use tool. So I basically created this computer use tool that works the exact same way as Codex does. And it allows me to have a gateway where my Pi session here now can control the entire machine. And this is also why I'm running this on a different machine, because it will tend to take over, right? Like it opens Windows, it will like move the cursor. I had it create like an emulated cursor so that it wouldn't do that, but sometimes these things just really need to be tested with like a real cursor. So I have another Mac that I use, and that's what I'm SSH'd into now. And basically, I can let this thing pop open Windows and do whatever it needs to do as if it's controlling the computer. And when you're working on macOS apps, I feel like that's kind of cool and kind of nice because it can actually go and like click on the things in the app and do it from like a product owner perspective and making sure that these things are actually working. That's not good. We're already on a branch. There's no need to use a different work tree or set one up or anything like that. So while I was talking to you, this might have just blasted away some changes that we made, but I don't think it did, so I think we'll probably be okay. Hopefully. Yeah. Even if we're not, let's just do this. Well, that goes. Check back and see what's going on here. So my Pi session is basically configured to use the Pi goal. So it's basically going to create this goal. This thing's going to sit down here and like make sure that it's running all the time, which you can't see because my screen is off the screen. So let's just do that. Bam, now you can see it. So now it's pursuing this goal. We'll let it cook up an app and see what it comes up with. Actually just realized I made a mistake and did it on a high. That should really be running on X high. So hopefully there's not a problem. There's also this nice plugin that basically uses the GPT fast mode, which I have to use because if I'm sitting here and this thing is already only 45 tokens per second, 50 tokens per second, that's so slow. I think before in the Minimax we were probably seeing closer to 80. I mean, I can run PS4, like the Dark Star implementation of DeepSeek version 4 Flash on here and get like 50 tokens per second. Maybe 25. Just depends like how big the context is and stuff, I think. But obviously GPT 5.5 is a much larger model. I think I've heard rumors it's like 4 trillion parameters or something. Now we just kind of wait. Let's see what's going on here. That's not good. Why is this trying to sign stuff? I don't know.
Would you like me to delay me to Jerry? Would you need to be? I was all years aside me. How was I to see? You know just what you see.
So you can see it's using our computer use tool that I've given to Pi. And it's running the hollow model here. Okay, I think I know what's going on here. Let's try something out. Let's let that go for a minute. Okay, so looking at this, I think what's going on is we have a test that's for some reason trying to create a fake Git commit. You know, the AI just loves to put random things in here to verify that what it's doing is correct, and this is one of those super annoying things that it does. So we're just gonna fix that real quick. All right, all right. It's getting there. It is getting there. The really nice thing about having this hollow model run locally is like I can basically have it use this computer use tool and it can take as many pictures as it needs to continually like check the state. And I'm not using up like my codex limits or anything like that. It's a pretty small model too that runs. I think it's a 32 billion parameter model. It's probably trained off of Quen. Okay. Stage and commit all of these changes and push them up. All right, so let's run in. I'm going to do a bin test on you just to see everything's working properly. That's not running the way we want it to, though. Let's kill that. And we'll just be done with that. It's going to run all of our tests across the whole monorepo. I really, like, I know it takes a while. I could run the tests individually across different engines or different apps. But having the ability to make a change anywhere in the monorepo, know that it's part of my testing suite, and know that if something like the foundation engine, which everything is using, if I break something in there, like alarms will go off like crazy before I accidentally merge something in. All right. So that's still going. And now we need to run our app, which we were trying to do before. So let's do that. Hmm. So, right. It's not seated. Well, that's nasty. Okay, we're gonna have to fix that. Should definitely not be stubbing non-public methods. I mean, I know Ruby allows you to do it, but it's kind of gross. So, Not good. Sometimes doing AI stuff's boring. I swear this is going to get more entertaining as time goes on. We just need to get the foundations laid because I got some big plans for what's coming after this license server. So once you can imagine, once we have a license server set up to build macOS apps, we are going to build the macOS app, the everything macOS app that is going to do all the things that I needed to do to vibe code business ideas, run them, and manage them live. That is going to be the ultimate goal. It's going to be sick. I'm pretty excited. But in the meantime, it just is boring looking at a terminal. So sorry, but here's, we got to build the foundations first, which is why I called that one engine foundation. Yeah, so this machine that this thing is running on is also being absolutely hammered by some AI stuff that I'm running. So it's a little slow. All right, I'm sick of watching this. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pick this up on day 4. I will get the app working and viewable, and then we will also get the uh, tests that have been running here along with, oh, I died while I was working on this. Okay, we'll get the base app up and running. I'll also make sure that this works so that we can run it through Tailscale to the other machine so that you guys can see what we're doing, and we'll go from there. Day 4, get it going. I will catch you all later, you landlubbers.